Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, January 24th, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2022. The models are in. Snow will continue to fall over the lower 48. The big story is the coldest temperature ever recorded in West Virginia, minus 31, breaking the previous record by 4 degrees. Whew, that's cold. Keep calm. It's boom time. Minus 31. Wow. This is an elevated valley in northeast West Virginia, and on Saturday morning it was colder than just about anywhere in Alaska and among the most frigid locations in the entire United States. Just 125 miles west of Washington, D.C., the temperatures at a weather station in Canaan Valley plunged to minus 31. That's not with wind chill, and in fact, it's the coldest reading on record for that part of the state. Whew. Talk about records. New York lake effect snow last 24 hours. The lake effect snow machine has been put into high gear here. 17 inches in Angola, 16 in West Carthage. I wonder how many inches they have this year. Probably over 100 already. Lorraine, Eden, Henderson, all above a foot. And that snow machine will continue as some snow is possible tonight in Boston, and a northeaster threatens this weekend. We're going to get to that because we're tracking potential for significant coastal snowstorm Saturday. And if the system moves to the east, it could bring snow up the entire East Coast from North Carolina to Maine. It's insane. But right now, it's tracking a little offshore, so that's only going to affect Boston and north. But we have a few days out, so anything can happen. And I believe that it's going to probably do, well, what this guy says. And let's just take a look at some of his reporting, because I like his style. And I do.
The north, in fact, beginning to build across the Northeast and the Midwest as our fast-moving clippers have started to put snow down. Most of the snow west and north of the 95 corridor. One clipper, this is what produced the snow yesterday. You could see that leaving on the water vapor loop. What you're looking at is the amount of water vapor in the middle upper part of the atmosphere, where you see the white duchy of moisture and lots of moisture across the Midwest. That's our next clipper. Now, this system is going to be weakening. I can show that to you on the water vapor. There it is. This energy in here, you see how there's some yellows and reds to showing you there's higher energy in the atmosphere. Watch as it comes eastward. You start losing the reds by Monday night into Tuesday as this pulls into the northeast and then quickly lifts to the north and east. So this will be a weakening system, which means the snow will not make it to the 95, mostly across the Midwest and also in the parts of the Northeast, New York State, Pennsylvania, and into West Virginia, and the panhandle of Maryland as well. General 1 to 3 inches, where you see the darker blues, though you can see that, that's where we have a few inches of snow. West shore of east shore of Lake Michigan and western Michigan, also in the lee of Lakes Erie and Ontario, and down into the West Virginia mountains. All right, waves of cold coming. Every time there's a wave of cold, you have to be worried about a storm forming along that wave of cold. Now, there's going to be one storm across Texas that'll be driven out to sea Tuesday and Wednesday. That's our first cold wave. But here's the second one. Watch this, Thursday and Friday. I want you to watch this right here along the Carolina coast. That's our building storm as we get into Friday night. All right, as that cold comes southward. Now, the question is, where's that storm going? That's always a million-dollar question, right? Does that storm go up the coast or out to sea? Now, so far this season, all of the storms in this setup have been pushed out to sea. I think this one's going to be a little different. Let me show you why. Here's our big dip in the jet stream. Remember, this is what's going to steer the storm either out or up. Now, I'm going to start.
Now I'm going to jump in here real quick and show you the jet stream, how far down it is going, all the way up here from the Arctic in Canada, all the way down here to Mexico, and then back up again. So that is the meridional flow that is being caused by the weakening magnetosphere and the breakdown of the jet stream right there. And that is a sign of the grand solar minimum.
Stop this on Friday. This is what I call a positively tilted trough. You see that it's tilted from northeast to southwest. Now, when you see that, your steering flow is out of the west-southwest. Now, if this trough axis would be farther east, that would steer it out to sea, but it's not. It's farther west. Now, watch as we get into Friday. You notice how it becomes what I call neutral, a north-south tilt. You see that? And look at the lines. They're not going from southwest to northeast, are they? They're going south to north. So this storm, I think, is going to come north. Now, is it right along the 95 or just east of the 95 corridor, or does it hug the coast? Not sure yet. But I think all the ingredients are there for a big snowstorm. Right now, here's our initial thoughts. Now, this could change. This is thinking more of an easterly track that would hug the coast. But if the storm's farther west, you bring the snow threat farther west, and you also have to start introducing rain along the coast. So this is going to be a tough call Friday night and Saturday, but I think we have to be ready for the possibility of a snowstorm here, as that storm either hugs the coast or takes a little farther west track.
So be ready. And he just said it. And you should take heed that this baby is coming. Storm scenario 1 is the big boom, Friday night into Saturday night. And storm scenario 2 is less of a boom, which is a out to sea scenario. So stay tuned. We're going to have updated forecasts as we move, well, further into the event. And the event starts with snowstorms blanketing the Rockies before arriving in Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus. And there it is. There's that North Texas snow. By 1 p.m. Wednesday, snow will have made its way all the way through the Panhandle in northern Texas, the nexus of the Schmexus. Now, let's take a quick look at the GFS models here, and we'll walk you through. So what you just looked at is all of Tuesday's snow right there. So you're going to see moderate lake effect snow in most of the snow regions. The snow hole in Ohio, you should be having flurries all day, all the way down through Snowshoe in West Virginia, maybe poking its way a little bit there into Kentucky, getting a little plucky there. And then we have snow moving east of the Continental Divide, mostly with this system. As it drops down in through Kansas there, and a little pocket in Tahoe is going to be picking up a little bit of snow. We're going to get some snow here, but nothing significant, 6 to 10 inches. North Texas on Wednesday. That's your day. Wednesday, little snow in Oklahoma as this system moves east and starts to develop. Here's your Friday, Saturday, and they're showing just the heavy snow just hugging right here from Boston up into Maine. And so if we move this over, that 21-inch line moves over inland here. So it's very touch and go here, especially on the GFS. And the GFS model is showing a very snowy February. So stay tuned for the beginning of winter, which starts apparently in February. Now, I'm sick of it. I'm done with it, and I'm through. There are no mysterious ice formations. They're not unexplained. They're not unheard of. They're not bizarre. But these mysterious ice formations showed up once again in the mainstream media and in Chicago. And what are we talking about? We're talking about pancake ice. Everyone up in the polar region knows about the lily pads of polar ice called pancake ice, which consist of rounded sheets of newly frozen water, which is moved around by wind. And they're extremely common in the Great Lakes. So why anyone thinks it's a mystery, unless you're brain dead, well, or looking for views like the mainstream media is, because no one is watching those charlatans. U.S. in grip of fierce polar plunge. Iran's gas consumption hits record high as historic cold and snow intensifies across the Middle East. Take a look at the snowstorm and palm trees there. Oh my goodness. Russia busts snowfall benchmarks and rare flurries hit Greece. This is a sign of the times, including the snowiest January on record potentially coming to Charleston, South Carolina, as well as minus 31 in the Canaan Valley, one of the coldest temperatures ever recorded. And, well, the list goes on and on. Let's check out Europe. A lot of people have been complaining, especially in the UK, that they're not seeing any snow. But like we said, February, there will be a change in the models. You can see how the snow rapidly. Look at Finland, for goodness sakes. Look at Norway. Greta's boyhood home is even going to have a couple feet of snow up there. But you can see heavy snow moving into Scotland and the UK potentially. Even Ireland picking up a little bit of snow here as we move into February. So that looks like the recipe for snow, heavy snow in the Alps in the beginning of February. So keep
the worst of our summer rain.
Now, let's talk about some interesting things happening on the other side of the earth. Down in Australia, they're in summer, and it's a bummer. It just snowed in New Zealand, and they're claiming it's not rare for it to snow in the middle of summer. But I do digress. This, in fact, is rare. When it rains like this, and the locals have never seen it, well, that's unprecedented, and cosmic rays are king. Increased cosmic rays, increased cloud nucleation, increased rain. Mud flood much?
The worst of our summer rainstorm has now passed South Australia, but only after the tropical weather system delivered a third day of heavy downpours, once again breaking apart roads and rainfall records.
Yeah, we gotta get out.
Flash flooding and a bizarre sight in our state's outback. The force of the water creating a powerful whirlpool right alongside the nearly submerged Stewart Highway. As the record-breaking rain hit, soaking the areas around Kimber, the only way out was a tricky drive-through.
Never seen anything like it before, and we had similar feedback from a lot of the locals. And it was a flash flood event.
Justin Hockever was in the outback for work when he and his team got stuck near Pimba.
We got rained in there with all the roads closed. We eventually got an exemption to get everybody out because after a few days we were all starting to get low on supplies.
The mayhem was far and wide. At Wallaroo on York Peninsula, this is what locals got up to. At neighbouring Kadina, the most rain that's ever fallen in 24 hours since records began, 86.2 millimetres. Over on Kangaroo Island, the summer rainstorm arrived.
You very rarely see that even in winter. Yeah.
This morning, torrential rain hit. 2 years ago, the owners of the Western KI Caravan Park were dealing with the fire disaster. Today, in the middle of summer, their dams are full.
The ups and downs of the last 2 years, a bit of water is the least of our problems, really.
This major three-day weather event started on Friday, all caused by a severe tropical pressure system. For now, the worst has passed.
Certainly rare and certainly very significant with a huge impact for South Australia, something we don't see every year.
Now the clean-up and the repairs for residents and authorities begins. Kelly Hughes, 9 News.
Wow, that one chick was real serious. Did you see her? Let's go watch her again. She is so serious. Let's watch how serious she is. This is amazing. Look at her. She's acting.
Pressure system. For now, the worst has passed. Major three-day weather event started on Friday, all caused by a severe tropical pressure.
A bit of water is the least of our problems, really.
This major three-day weather event started on Friday, all caused by a severe tropical pressure system. For now, the worst has passed.
Wow, that is some serious stuff. Moving on. Seismic update. No quakes of note. I do lie, though. There has been a series of large quakes in Haiti. Can you imagine? The last place you need a big quake is Haiti. But it certainly happened there, 5 magnitude or greater. And we have a quake happening near Kikum-Jenny, 5.3 in Trinidad Tobago. So we'll be looking at Kikum-Jenny, keeping a close eye there. Now, what we should be keeping a close eye on is Hunga, Tonga. And in fact, there has been some seismic activity at Hunga, Tonga, significant seismic activity right at the volcano. In fact, a 5.0 at 99 kilometers at depth, and a 4.8 at 10 kilometers. So we have some deeper activity I thought we had here. But no, this is pretty significant activity. Hunga Tonga is right here in this region. And so we want to keep a close eye on what's going on there because the Tonga eruption was so powerful. Scientists now propose a new ultra classification for the eruption. And we're going to be doing a podcast over at Magnetic Reversal News after this on the topic. In fact, it is an ultra-Surtsian eruption, one of the most unique eruptions ever in geologic history, witnessed in our modern times, and it was the blast heard around the world. In fact, it wasn't as strong, according to the most current information, as Krakatoa. It was only a quarter of the strength, probably around 50 kilotons, but we've got some scientists and some staff here that are crunching some numbers, and we have some different numbers that we're going to share with you a little later tonight. So stay tuned on the Hunga Tonga Super Ultra Surtsian eruption. The boom heard around the world. Now, if you're wondering what Surtsian eruption means, it's an eruption that happens in the subsurface where seawater or lake water can get into that magma chamber and cause a boom. A Surtsian eruption is an explosive style of volcanic eruption that takes place in shallow seas or lakes when rapidly rising and fragmenting hot magma interacts explosively with water. and with water steam tephra slurries. The eruption style is named after an eruption off the southern coast of Iceland in 1963 that caused the emergence of a new volcanic island called Surtsey. So we're all learning something tonight, and that's fantastic. But what you're unlearning when you hear things in terms like gravity waves is the fact that the mainstream media and even the specialists, the meteorologists, are just speak gobbledygook. This woman didn't research the eruption at all. She has no idea how high it went or anything like that, but she wants to talk about gravity waves.
This satellite imagery that you're looking at from January 15th's volcanic eruption in Tonga is unusual. If you look closely, you'll see dozens of circles, which are fast-moving waves in the Earth's atmosphere, known as gravity waves. The head-scratcher is that scientists say previous volcanic eruptions have not produced anything quite like this concentric wave pattern as far as they know, even though the instrument used to capture them, called the atmospheric infrared sounder, has...
Now, what she fails to realize is that this is a new type of eruption called ultra-Surtsian, and the influx of the water and the explosive nature caused resonant sound. The sound wave moved around the Earth. It's still moving around the Earth. It resonated for the last 4 days, 3 times, going around and around and around the Earth, ringing like a bell, just like the moon did. And guess what? The Earth isn't made of metal. And even though the moon has a lot of titanium, it's certainly not a starship. So this just shows you the level of education that these people that we're dealing with
has been around for about 20 years. To back up a little and briefly explain gravity waves, first imagine the atmosphere.
Even though we have a satellite, we don't even know what this is. So then they show ripples.
Atmosphere is a giant pond.
Okay, and those are not gravity waves. So Danielle Banks, thank you for proving how stupid the media is. Now, if we have deep eruptions over at Hunga Tonga, we want to be keeping a close eye on the island. So Himawari 8 loop will be below. This is Fiji here. This is Tonga. This is the Tonga Island complex. And Hunga Tonga is right here where those earthquakes occurred. So if you want to keep an eye on the Himawari 8 loop like we do every hour, because we're going to be way ahead of the curve when we see this baby erupt again. And now with the seismic tremor at depth, well, we could be seeing some magma being in place there or potential for some more activity. Albeit low, but we're keeping a close eye on it for you. Isn't that nice? Worldwide volcano news update. We've got Popo updates. Popocatépetl in Mexico is reducing its volcanic explosivity, which is good news. Semeru is back on the page, as well as Wolf volcano in the Galapagos. The lava flow decreased its advance and will not reach the ocean. It's over, Johnny. Nothing really happening. Just a bunch of quieting volcanoes and normal activity. Ambrin is back in the picture with the small puff to 6,000 feet. But nothing significant to report on except Hunga Tonga. Now, let's talk about radiometric dating shedding light on tectonic debate. Well, please read the article. It's very hard to digest, and they're talking about a new type of continental plate boundary. Now, we have passive margins and active margins. And the active margins are where subduction is happening, or let's say mid-ocean ridges where 2 plates are diverging. And we have the Azores and other volcanic complexes like in Iceland, where we make islands, and then they sink like Atlantis. But I do digress. There is a third type of active margin that they're talking about here, and it's an obduction zone. Not a subduction zone, not a divergent mid-ocean ridge, but an abduction zone. And they're unique because they foster the recycling of surface continental material into the deep mantle. Now, this is the same as a subduction zone, so I have no idea what they're talking about here. And it says it happens infrequently, so I'm going to dive a little bit more into this topic and figure out if physics.org, once again, gets the #1 award for Sharticles. That's a pre-boom before we finish the podcast here. Now, mysterious X particles detected in plasma mimicking moments after the Big Bang. Now, just from the title alone, you can realize that this is a Sharticle. and not based on science or anything. And they show this little nice explosionary thing here. Look at that. That must be real. Did you see the picture? Now, these X particles thought to have had a brief but crucial role in the earliest days of the universe have been identified in something approaching their original environment. Do you think any of what I just said is real? No. And thankfully, if you understand that everything you just read is fantasy, well then, you're in the right place. Archaeologists discovered 2 giant sphinxes at the Lost Temple of a million years, built by a great pharaoh in Egypt 3,300 years ago. Now, these are gigantic sphinxes. How would you just find them? Unless you've been hiding them in plain sight, in my opinion. There is so much in ancient Egypt that is a complete fabricated lie. But we all know that the age of Leo has something to do with it. Leo the lion, 13,000 years ago is when this community in Egypt and the pharaohs have nothing to do with it. The Egyptians have nothing to do with Egypt, except that they own it and that they've bastardized and lied to us about the history for all of modern time. So, you, Egypt, you can suck it. Jon Stewart once told Jeff Bezos at a dinner with the Obamas that workers want fulfillment, not jobs running errands for rich people. It's a recipe for revolution. And I've always been a fan of Jon Stewart. He got a little too woke, but not super woke, and now he's waking up. He's taken the red pill. And in fact, he had a little taste of it years ago when he told Bezos the fact. The fact is that people don't want to be your minions. They don't want to pick up after you. They want to have purpose. And in fact, we know here on the channel at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project that a purpose-driven life is the key to longevity, health, wealth, love, and happiness. It's not all peaches and cream, but if you live a purpose-driven life, problems that come your way seem less significant. You can get over it a lot easier. It's that simple. Meanwhile, in Turkey.
Evet, şu an burası Hadımköy. Şu an iş çıkışında ve burada rehin kaldık maalesef. İşçiler.
Snow, people stuck, people dying.
Evet, şu an görüyorsunuz. Burada rehin kaldık, servisler gidemiyor. Şu an burası Hadımköy.
It's worse in Turkey than it is in South Carolina, trust me. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance in a dystopian world where the mainstream media is full of lies and lacks credibility because they don't report on things that do not meet their narrative. The world is waking up, and they're waking up with us. It's taken 6 years, approaching 7 years now, but they're getting it, and we're winning. Become a hero. Share this video. Be safe. We love you. That's a boom.